All right, welcome back to Daybreak Africa, and it is time to discuss. Today we'll be treading the route of the very sensitive call for secession in the southeast Nigeria. Recently, we witnessed the arrest of IPOB leader in the person of Simon Ekpa in Finland, arrested based on some charges of suspicions in accordance to terrorism and inciting violence in some parts of the country, looking at the social media posts. And as we speak, we are still looking at the issue of secession in the southeast and how the fact that some moves in the southeast recently still leads to a bit of violence, the sit at home and all that. And to discuss with us today, we will be having an historian, a lecturer in the Federal University in Nigeria, in the person of Dr. Omojeje. Welcome to the show, sir.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Welcome. Yeah. So we are looking at the place of the secession in the southeast, the call for secession in the southeast. Recently, we witnessed the arrest of Simon Ekpa. We know we want to discuss about secession. It's something that has graduated to this point. We can talk about 1966, 1967, the civil war we had from 67 to 1970, and now we are here. Now, let's just delve to the main matter at hand. Simon Ekpa has been arrested. How did you feel about it? What do you see as the language that will be spoken now in the southeast at this particular time?
Some of them, it's a kind of mixed feelings. Whether we like it or not, some people like it that he's been arrested, because I read about some that were saying that he's not even a recognized person in IPOB, but I learned that he led a faction of the IPOB, and that he commanded a large number of people who are his adherents in the southeast and at Finland also. So why some will see it as a good thing for them, some are saying it as a bad omen, because those who arrested him were arresting him based on, according to them in Finland, they said he was arrested because of his incitement to violence with terrorist intent. So they have attached terrorism to it, and then when terrorism is attached to a person, definitely he will be financed by some people, and then he will be a major target. A terrorist is a threat to the society, and the earlier such threat is brought to book, the better. But the question now is Simon Ekpa a terror, or is he a terrorist? Is his intention terrorist and motivated? Yeah. So it is left for those who arrested him to prove. The onus of a case is to prove beyond any reasonable doubt. So that is it. In the southeast, some people will like the idea, some people will not like the idea. That is it.
So the Southeast, they claim to want sovereignty. They claim they do not have the sense of belonging in Nigeria, and with that they tend to really go through lots of pain. Personally, I think they are, not even personal, generally they are legal way, approach to actually get sovereignty. But with all what is going on in the Southeast, do you think their problems or their challenges are rather self-inflicted and not really Nigerians, pounding on their heads per se?
That they are the one putting
their own problem, yes.
Bringing their own problem. Yes, the fact is, if they are saying that they are being marginalized and there is no development in the southeast, all those things has been from time immemorial. Which of the sections in Nigeria is only developed? There's no. Is it the western part that is developed? Why did Isaac Adakaboro threatening to secede at that time? Was it not because of marginalization, because of the what is accruable from oil that is not evenly distributed? Now, who who played active role in the arrest of Isaac Adakaburu. He's an Igbo man, Odumegwu Ojukwu. And during the time of Odumegwu Ojukwu, he said marginalization also. And it degenerated into civil war. And then the civil war stopped in 1970. Since then, there has been agitation. You will even notice that we are hearing that there are some agitations even from the Yoruba enclave.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's because the wealth of the nation, the commonwealth of the nation, is not evenly distributed. And you will agree with me that no place is developed in Nigeria. Look at our roads. The road network is bad. Education system is no citizen enjoys. There is hyper or galloping inflation now. That even when you collect the money, when you collect the salary, when the money comes, it goes like a strainer that takes in water. So I'm just laughing when they said, it is the farmers, cocoa farmers, that are enjoying now. Yes, they are enjoying. Yes, there is an upsurge in the prices of our products of that cash crop, cocoa, and it buoy up the pocket of those that have cocoas. But now I want to ask you a question. Where are they spending the money in Europe? They are spending it in Nigeria.
It's also experiencing hyperinflation.
Somebody in my street bought a car, a Toyota Corolla car, maybe 2013, for between 11 and 13 million naira.
Wow.
A car that sold for 2.5 million naira or 2 million naira before. For God's sake, in 2011, I bought an end of discussion that is even more sleek than Toyota Corolla for 2.2 million naira. Wow. And so, the inflation has eaten whatever that is coming. So the only thing is that every section is being marginalized. Everybody is being marginalized. In me and you, we are being marginalized. How much is transport fare between here and Ibadan? At this motorbike Okada per drop now is about 500 naira and then 1,000 naira. The Okada that you used to take for 10 naira before. So it's not an issue of the fact that the eastern side being marginalized only. So back to your question, there should be a subtle way of making the government to listen to the yearnings and aspirations of the people, other than going through violence. The government says, because they've been saying it, that they don't want secession. United we stand. So anybody that is, fanning the embers of secession will not see the good face
of the government. Definitely. That is it. But you said something now, that the Southeast should not only claim they are the only ones marginalized. Everybody has been marginalized at one point or the other. The Southwest, we witnessed what happened with Sunday Igbo. Yes. That was just barely over 2 years ago, when there were agitations of Yoruba Nation and all those kind of things. We've seen even the Northern Hemisphere talk about secession. Currently, in this current government, most of the agitations are even coming from the north.
From the north. Look at the way they walk out of the National Assembly.
So now we are looking at a point where at the country we are having 3 different regions, or let's say 6 different zones, having 6 different needs, wanting 6 different things, and a government at the central that needs to meet up with each one of them. But in fairness to governance in Nigeria, we have a federal system in which we have the federal government, we have the state government, we have the local government. And the federal government even sends allocation to each one of them. The Southeast will not say they don't have governors who collect allocations, even security votes. The North won't say the same thing, the South won't say the same, the West won't say the same thing, neither will any of that. So now with this kind of system, which even in Gowon's words said he created it just to reduce that issue of regionalism and give us more sense of belonging. Now, with this kind of system we're having currently, don't you think issues of secession should not be a thing that should be talked about much, because to a very large extent, everyone has a government that is supposed to see to your personal needs and get allocations even from the federal government down to your particular place.
Yes, you said everyone has, or every section has a government that should take their yearnings and aspirations as priority. But are they taking it as priority? You see, the thing is, the kind of politics we play is a kind of politics that, exposes people's mind. It's only when you are there, when politics is made very, very juicy and very, very costly, everybody will want to run to the place, and everybody will want to use what he has to obtain what he wants. That's the thing in Nigeria. In Nigeria, politics is very juicy, and then there are no clear-cut visions of the politicians. It is only when you are there that you bring up policies that will be flowery and cosmetics to the people, but it will bring more money into your coffers. That is why ordinarily a governor is a civil servant. He's also a public servant. He's not supposed to be richer than what he was before he became the governor. If a classroom teacher becomes a governor in Nigeria now, he will be stinking with money by the time he spent his 4 years. Then must you spend 8 years? Look at Donald Trump. You see, then our people, we don't really know what we want. The politicians, by the time they brandish all these little peanuts, will fall for it. And I don't blame them, because the polity has been heated up. Some people were saying, okay, they should not collect money. They should not collect money. I said, why won't they collect money? A person that is hungry
will collect money, definitely.
I will collect money, whether we like it or not. It's a communist ideology. You only need to read Joseph Stalin's system of communism at the Kremlin at that time. You will know. So that's it. Well, a person that... Let me tell you one thing. Do you know that there are some people that were ill and died because the family cannot afford 10,000 naira to take care of the hospital bill?
Yeah, definitely, that's very true.
And so if those people were promised 20,000, 50,000 naira
just to vote, so you think they will not vote, and will you advise them not to vote for such person? When they need the money,
you want his person to die. That's the kind of politics we play in Nigeria. But in America now, it's not like that. A common gardener will bullshit Donald Trump. I was a foreign minister of Britain. I was listening to the conversation the other time. The commentator was, asking him that you said this to Trump at a time, but you are now saying you maintain good relationship with Trump, you and your prime minister. And he recollected about four, five instances. So what I want to point out is that nobody cares who is the governor, nobody cares who is the mayor, nobody cares who is the president, in as much as it does not tamper with how I live my life and the existing social amenities that are here. But in Nigeria, when a governor assumes office, when a governor assumes office, he will bring up his own policy, jettisoning
the existing policies that were running before.
It is here that I see that when a governor becomes a governor, the wife will start a program, on her own program that she has not been doing before. She will now use government machineries to start the program. And when the governor is going, the program dies, another governor that is coming
Start another one again.
Look at the issue of shuttle buses now.
Especially in Ondo State.
In Ondo State, Governor Mimiko did something. 3, the shuttle buses, the neighborhood market, the hospital, this trauma center. This trauma center,
yes, was
do you know that
maternity.
they were coming from abroad? They were coming from abroad. Ganifa Diagnostic Center, Trauma Center, Abiye Initiative. Those that gave birth there, at the time, they pay nothing. If you have card, at a time, you pay 1,000 naira. At a time, they pay 13,000 naira. Now, I don't know.
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive. And then the doctors are doing. So, is it not a governor that, for God's sake, look at the shuttle buses? If the shuttle buses were at 20 at that time, if another governor comes and give another 20 to it, it will be 40. So, these are programs that are supposed not to die. But the coming of another governor
puts an end to it.
And another thing is selling of our lands. Land that ordinarily people should benefit from. If trees are not there, maybe there was a time that the government introduced Tonja farming. In Tonja farming in Agric, government land will be allocated to farmers.
And you just farm
then
on lease.
They will allocate them to farmers. They will farm there for 3 years. The idea is that the farmers will be given some crops
to the government
to plant there. So they will plant, they will be farming there, they will plant the crops. When the crop yields very well, then they will leave the place. They will go to another place. So the government is using the farmers to plant such trees, timbers, teak, melinas. That was the reason why melinas were common in Ondo State and Ogun State at that time, because they are Tonja farming. In Tonja farming, it was a kind of symbiotic relationship
between
the government and
the
then the people. It's an association between two organisms in which both benefit, but the association is necessary for the survival of the two. The farmers benefit, the government also benefit. But where are they now?
Well, looking at what you actually said, I think I'm beginning to get the fact that since the fact that many governments at different bodies have neglected their duties.
That is it. That is it.
That is why we're having more agitations from the people, and the heightened frustration is what has led to many of the old things we're talking about. So definitely we need to return to it. Now let's go back to the southeast a bit. We observed that Simon Ekpa, before being arrested, even most recently, was one of the vocal voices about the sit at home that happens in the southeast. Now, he's not there, but I witnessed, that was on Monday yesterday, we witnessed a bit of still agreements with the sit at home. Some people still sat at home despite the fact that he was arrested. Myself and Ezekiel were even making a jest about something before you came into the studio and said, I think the government is fighting not a personality but an ideology. Now, the ideology is already sold in the mind of the people that we need to secede, and because of that, many of them are actually tuning to that particular ideology. Definitely, it's looking as if, even with Simon Ekpa's arrest, there is a possibility that another person might even rise, like Simon Ekpa, like Nnamdi Kanu, who is still facing trials with the government, and will still continue this thing. Now, how do you think the government can try as much as possible to fight against that ideology if we are to stick? Or should the government just give it a trial? Okay, if we want to secede, let's make an agreement on secession. Or how do you see it happening at this particular time?
The thing is, nobody is in a situation like this. Nobody is saying that any segment should secede. But in a situation whereby we do not feel that sense of belonging, people will definitely agitate. Agreed, we are not one in Nigeria.
Okay.
We are not one. Why I say we are not one is that we emanated from different cultures and orientation, kingdoms and empires. that were entirely different from
each
others.
other. Yeah.
The Yoruba or your empire is entirely different from the Hausa kingdom. And then both the Yoruba kingdom and the Hausa kingdom, they are entirely different from the Igbo scattered communities, acephalous system. These are also different from the scattered communities in the creek, the Niger Delta. Not to talk of the Igala, many of them just like that. But the fact is, it was a colonial contraption that brought us together. And all these things will definitely not augur well with people. The colonialists know that such things will happen, but they are benefiting from it. So it is now the government, and what the government can do to make this thing lessen is to bring about amenities that will alleviate the poverty of the people. One, in terms of food security. People are hungry, whether we like it or not. If people are well fed, nobody will even look at if you know that you get to this place, you can see food, you get to this place, you can. But in a situation whereby even when you toil, the food will not come. Look at it now. Some people will plant some things, cows will come and eat it up. And the cows are not being owned by Fulani, they are being owned by you and me that are rich.
Just employ their services.
They employ the service of some people. I know some people here that it is when they celebrate the funeral of their fathers or mothers that because of the position they are, many cows were brought to them, and then they cannot kill all of them. So maybe about 20 of them left. They call a Fulani man to come and tend the cows for them, and the cows were, giving birth to many ants. So before you know what is happening, there are many Ondo Fulani people, there are many Oyo Fulani people.
Yeah.
And the Fulanis will now be asking you can buy it for them because it brings money.
Just a little bit about Ekpa's arrest. I think, do you think his arrest will tend to impact the morale of the IPOB movement?
It's a mixed grill. Some people will be happy, some people will be sad. Those that are sad will want a situation whereby it will not happen. Simon Ekpa is not loved by all the people.
Yeah, definitely.
Some people will not want, because some people will feel threatened by his influence. And there are some people that will be adherent of his. Look at the sit at home that people observe, despite that he is miles away, thousands of miles away. So that's it. It's a mixed grill. People may like, some people will like it, some people will not like it. And if he's arrested, look at Nnamdi Kanu now. Some people like the way he's being incarcerated, some people do not like it, and they are still agitating. And let me tell you, if situation continue like this, agitation for secession, even not only from the southeast, will not cease. Naturally, nobody like to be stressed. Nobody like it. So the southeastern people, whether we like it or not, there is marginalization also. The place is not all that developed, and wealth comes from there. But when we talk of southeast also, there should be definition. There should be definition.
Which is where I was about going to actually. Because
there should be definition, because Igbos, they are different from the Ogonis. The Ogonis, they are different from the Niger Delta in Bayelsa. The Niger Delta Bayelsa, they are different from the Efik. The Efik, they are different from the Ibibio. So southeast and south now. But even in the southeast, there are differences. Not all of them share the same ideology with Nnamdi Kanu, with Simon Ekpa. So those who shares in his ideology will naturally conform with him, and they will not like him to be incarcerated.
I think just before we go into his leadership style, I want to talk about his ideology and the ideology of IPOB. What exactly is Ekpa's ideology?
No, his ideology is to whip up a kind of agitation to sensitize the people, the southeastern people, to is a kind of giving them a kind of orientation, an orientation that it is only when they are independent of Nigeria that their actualization of what they want
to achieve.
That sounds like more like the ideology of both the IPOB.
That is the same thing. You know, he's only a leader. He is only a leader. He said he is the leader, is the prime minister of the IPOB in the diaspora.
In diaspora. Well, I think we'll go deeper into that before. But first, we need to just go on a very short break. After we are done with this break, we'll come back to discuss more on this. Please do stay with us.
Right here in the studio, we still have Dr. Omojeje with us in the house as we discuss Simon Ekpa's arrest so far. Now, you were talking about the ideologies, ideological differences. So we're trying to get into the minds of IPOB faction and the Samuel Ekpa's faction, if I use that term. What exactly, away from just them wanting to stand up for themselves, wanting sovereignty, what other differences do they have? And it's more like, I think, the Ekpa's faction are different from the Nnamdi Kanu's faction. So what exactly are their differences? Are they even actually going towards the same goal, or is it more like the same goal but strategies tend to differ at some point?
Ayo is a kind of, facts are sacred, but opinion differs. Okay. The way Simon Ekpa is going about it is to whip up agitation, is to give them a kind of orientation, especially through the social media. But Nnamdi Kanu is more grounded. It's more grounded. He sit with the people, talk with them. While Simon Ekpa might not be there, he will use social media. He will use strategies to whip up all these things. But Nnamdi Kanu will be there. So he live with the people. He share in their pains and all these things. So there is no much difference. They are pursuing the same goal, but using different many subterfuges that will come into is driving into. The idea is to sensitize them, to orientate them, and to bring them to the fore that it is only when they are independent that there could be actualization of their dream.
It's only when they are independent there could be an actualization of their dream. But me, I'm seeing something there. I don't know whether I'm just the only one saying this. Nnamdi Kanu, one ideology, Simon Ekpa, another ideology. But now, if we are having two different means, two different ideologies, though with the same goal, towards sensitizing people, that only when they are separate, that is when they can achieve their goal. I'm a student of history too. I know how. Let's talk about when the issue of Yoruba Nation came out in the first instance. I told someone, a friend of mine, I said, even if Yoruba Nation stands today, there's going to be war within Yoruba Nation because, like you said earlier, we have different tribes, different kingdoms, different ideologies, different. Look at somewhere like Ife, Modakeke in the first instance. Ife, Modakeke are not that together in the real sense. There is an Oyo Empire that also in a very way claims to be the biggest and all that. In the same way in the southeast we have such issues. In fact, we have such marginalizations. Amongst them, we have some different ideologies amongst them too as well. If, I'm just imagining and thinking out loud, if they are even going to stand as a nation, don't you think there will still be more issues even within them? Even now that they are even trying to just form a unit. I know about IPOB, but there is still Masob and many other bodies that are still fighting for that same goal, but with different ideologies. Sometimes they come on social media to insult each other. Sometimes. So if they're having this kind of issues, do you think they can actually stand as one if they even try to get to become a nation?
Well, no, there is no nation that does not have its own obstacles. That they are fighting for secession does not mean that they don't have their internal wranglings. Nobody is praying for secession. But if secession comes and they are alone, then each of the segments that formed that Biafra will also be fighting. There's no doubt about it. Then when you are saying that if they secede, okay, is it that which area are they going to incorporate? Is it going to be only the Igbo speaking people that will secede? What of the Ogoni, the Port Harcourt and all others? Would they not just? So there will be a problem. It's like the problem will be a fresh start after secession. So that is it. But what they are saying is more than that. What they are now saying is that let them secede first. You know, the smiling face of a man does not show the evil that lurks within here. What people are saying is because domination is another thing, like you have said in the Yoruba. If Yoruba secede today, there will be problem. There will be problem. There will be problem. The Femuda Keke, look at what happened in Ise Emure. Ise Emure, communities that are not far from each other. They fought until local government is given. Look at what happened. Is Ekiti not part of Yoruba? A monoethnic state. Monoethnic state. Just Ekiti. Ekiti this, Ekiti this, Ekiti this, Ekiti this, Ekiti this, Ekiti this. But look at Ondo state. We have Ondo.
Akure is there.
No. Apart from Akure, we have, even if Akure speak, Ondo will understand. But if Ondo speak, Akure may not understand.
Yeah.
If an Akoko speak,
many won't even understand.
Many won't understand.
Akoko has different languages.
Akoko has more than 40 languages. More than 40. Then we have the Laje and we have the Ijo. Their language are different. So these are the things. And I think probably these are the things the government is now looking at, that, well, even if it is artificial boundary, even if it is colonial contraction, let us forge ahead. In America, there are many ethnic groups.
Yeah, definitely.
There are many.
And it's not so pronounced. Many people don't actually know about it.
They don't actually know. Some states were bought. Some were bought from Russia. Some were bought from Mexico. And the indigenous people, the Americans, the Amerindians themselves, they are there. The Cheyennes, the Pawnees, the Brules, the Irokos, and all those people are there. Yet they manage themselves to form a formidable country. That's why I said it. If the wealth of the nation is evenly distributed and policies and programs were put up to cater
for the people,
for the yearnings and aspirations of the people, no government can finish it up. No government can satisfy all the people. Then there will be no problem. Then, if politics is still the way it is, forget about it.
There will be more problems.
There will be more problems.
I wanted to even talk about something actually. When I was looking at they talked about inciting statements with terrorism.
Yeah.
Now, I remember President Muhammad Buhari in his own time, that's former President Muhammad Buhari in his own time, actually termed IPOB a terrorist group. Now, even in Finland, we're having such statements again, talking about the fact that he was arrested for insightful statements. Terrorism. And if we look at the activities, in the Southeast, we know what they call the unknown gunmen. unknown gunmen vandalize police station, kill people who don't or adhere to the sit at home and all that. Some of them are caught in their creeks and everything. Now, with this kind of charges already placed to Simon Ekpa, do you see him coming out anytime soon? Don't you think his fate is going to also be like that of Nnamdi Kanu? And whereas looking at it, the current violence experienced in the southeast, quote and unquote, which many of their leaders have even refused to talk much about, what do you think the government can do next to at least put a stop to that, and then, you know, create more grounds for negotiations based on continued existence as a nation?
Well, the government is parleying with the government of Finland to bring him to Nigeria to face the charges. And I believe he has his lawyers also. And his lawyers are men of no mean stature. Then the government is not mad. The government will be, at least they will be clement enough to listen to him very well, to look at what he has to do. And the international communities are there also, despite that Nigeria is a suffering country. So if the government is saying this is the situation, well, let's see what the government will do, because the court is there to interpret
the law.
The law. So it is the law and its interpretation by the operators of the law that will explain everything very well. Whatever we are saying here, we are just analyzing
the whole
but
thing, yeah.
What is there is that the government on one hand, Simon Ekpa on the other hand, whether he is going to be extradited, because he is also a Finnish citizen. So so there is a law that established if Finland consider his extradition as inimical to diplomatic relations with Nigeria, they may not extradite him. They may not extradite him. But even if Nigeria is a sovereign nation, and if there is a parley, diplomatic parley between Finland and Nigeria, yes, he could be extradited.
You know, Nigerian government have always tried to engage IPOB and other separatist groups, but unfortunately it has not yielded good fruits. So what that means, how best do you think the government should actually tend to attack or address this situation?
Well, attack, no. Address, yes. You see, there are some means that the government took, which was interpreted as a amnesty at that time. The government can be magnanimous enough to extend such. Then they should look at you see, persons or group don't normally come out to agitate for something if it has not happened and if it has not adversely affected them. So the government can address what is affecting them. What is that thing that is affecting them? Let it be addressed. Because like we have, said here, secession is not the best, whether we like it or not. Secession is not the best. If Ondo town is made a nation, there will still be problem.
Definitely.
In a street, there are problems. So that is why I say secession is not the best. But there are means that could be done. You see, a kind of regionalization could be done in such a way that, why people are angry is that everything is taken from the region to the federal, and then the federal is now giving it back. Then in a situation like that, a segment that does not produce at all will get a fair share
with a segment that
produce. But if it were to be a situation, there was a time in Nigeria where the place was segmented and each region benefit immensely from what it produced. I could remember the Western Nigeria then had a lot of fests. Cocoa House, Liberty Stadium, television station, and good road, many things, to the extent of borrowing the federal government some amounts of pounds. And the Eastern and the Northern were borrowing from the ideology of the West then. All of a sudden, everything became unitized through unitary government brought about by Ironsi, and then he promulgated the Decree 4 and abrogated the regional system. That was what brought Nigeria to this level. So if such a thing could be considered, and each region, then the governors will be more responsible.
Definitely.
To the people,
government is closer.
The government will be more responsible. The governors will be responsible. That's one. Then two, have said it times and times over. Let politics be made less, not juicy.
At least the cost of governance itself should go down.
You see, politics is so juicy that everybody wants to be a governor, everybody wants to be a politician, everybody wants to be a senator, everybody. For God's sake, you are abroad, where the exchange rate here will make you to be buoyant, to be in riches. And then you are bringing money from abroad down to Nigeria to come and contest to be in House of Representatives. What are you going to do there? Are you going to help the people? Is it to help the people? But if you here, if you are asked to be a senator, they say, Joshua, you are the senator representing your constituency. Now, you are not going to receive any salary. Where you are working, that is, your salary is what you will be given. But we are going to give you sitting allowance of 10,000 naira for coming to Abuja to legislate, and your sitting will be 3 times in a month. So you are obtaining 30,000. Remember that where you are working here is what pays your salary.
I will focus more.
You will focus more on the people, because when mosquito bite you in your room, because of a incessant power supply, by the time you get to Abuja, you will know. But in the situation whereby a person will come, they said, he's a multi-millionaire, he came and then he contested and won. Even if he want to go and urinate in his house, he will charter flight to go and urinate in his house. He is in his house, so he want to go and urinate, he will charter flight to take him to the toilet to urinate. And then the person will see it. Hey, you okay? How much? 10 million naira. When senatorial form is sold in millions,
whereas the average Nigerian can't afford the millions to get that kind of form.
So, but when those that can afford it get it, then they want more profit from it.
But I was thinking of something actually. I don't know. I discussed it with a friend recently. I said, this issue of federal character, I think I observed something lately. Most Nigerians won't be angry with you if you don't even give them infrastructure. But if their person is not in your government, it's a problem. Because I discovered that some of the agitations too as well was that it's supposed to be our turn to be this. It's supposed to be our turn to be that. You are electing officials. You are not putting our people there. Buhari had a lot of that issue in his own government. Tinubu is experiencing the same thing. And many regions are calling everybody out for, you didn't put my person there. Now, let's talk about this issue of federal character. Do you think it can help us in any way to even give the language to the people that we want you actually? Because I think someone said something about it, that it's supposed to be able to still, dose the tension in the country at this time.
federal character,
Federal
dousing
character.
detention. Why would
To a
he?
point that maybe the government elects, in his cabinet, puts people from different zones in.
It will bring
positions.
up nepotic influence, and parochialism will creep in. There is no doubt about it. And mediocres will be brought to government because he's closer to this and that. We have seen all those things. We've seen a situation whereby a minister fumbles when she was there. Yeah. How can a minister say he spent these millions of naira taking flight from Abuja to taking flight from Abuja to Lokoja when Lokoja doesn't have airport? So those that are genuine people that are supposed to do it, then those that have integrity. For instance, now, if a school principal is made a senator, he will not want his name to be dragged in the mud. He will do it well. Gone are the days when kings were made chairman of local government. The king is the chairman of local government, and councillors were chosen among
Chiefs.
The chiefs and eminent personalities, retired people, serving lecturers, judges, they were men. Yeah. They were not richer than the people then. But which politician is not? Even an ordinary local government councillor
Is wealthier than
and that explains the reason why you see a person that is the personal assistant to the wife of a honorable councillor, calling himself honorable something. Whereas honorable is used for those that have contested and elected into the position of a legislator. As senator is, so you just look at it. People like titles and honors. You see, they said the governor of X state, the governor of X state, they said senator. That's the governor of that state. They still say senator. He has been senator before.
And they still maintain the name.
I see the governor of X state, he says senator. I said, is he senator? And I don't know. So it's a compound, complex problem.
Compound.
You did
complex
mention amnesty as one of the avenue or route the Nigerian government could take. But the thing is, IPOB demands, it's quite direct. They want independence. I don't really see, is it just me? Because I don't really see how amnesty could actually do the math for a person that actually tells you
independence.
I want independent and nothing more.
Independent in terms of secession from Nigeria. Well, I said we are looking for means of dousing detention. Abi? And I said amnesty could be one of it. Okay, you are looking for secession. If you do not have secession, why don't you take this and be integrated into the society? And then make your feelings known and let's continue. After all, the biggest agitator of secession in Igbo went away to Yamoussoukro in Cote d'Ivoire, in 1970. And then he was given a condition in 1980, between 80 and 83. And then he obtained the condition and came back. One of the conditions is that he will not speak on it, and he did not speak on it. So he who fight and runs away live to fight another day. So I believe, when I say amnesty, I'm not saying amnesty is not only given to people. You know, they've termed them terrorists,
which is very sensitive.
It's very sensitive, and then the arms and ammunitions are involved, and so they could surrender. If they surrender, they will be integrated. The government can
go for arrangements for
go
them.
for arrangement for
more
that.
like the South Niger Delta issue.
Do like the Niger Delta issue.
You
So
know,
that's-
most recently they've been calling for EU, you know, UN to come support this resolution conflict. What exactly could be the role of EU and UN?
Well, in a situation like that, with Nigeria belong to international communities also, like the United Nations Organization, and then Nigeria's voice at least is being heard. So there is nothing bad in calling on international communities to meddle into such affairs if the aim is to douse the tension, knowing fully well that they also have a stake in all these things. So we live in a global village. If something is happening in my family, I could call your family to come and mediate. Probably that will bring the necessary solution. So that's it.
But now looking at it, you talked about the fact that we live in a global village and the fact that it's also very important or also very good and applaudable if we can bring in international communities to communicate and mediate in this particular issue. And I'm just wanting to focus on the place of mediation. Now, in mediation, we have discussed at length of how the government needs to be more involved, you know, listen to the yearnings of the people, listen to this, do that, put this in place. But if it ever comes to a point where the government has done all and they still said, oh, they want to secede, do you think in your own heart that the government should just give them? I'm just asking based on personal opinions here. Do you think in your own that the government should just give them and just let it be? Do you think Nigeria can stand without the Southeast?
Without
IPOB, or let's say the region seeking secession at the moment?
in a situation like this, the government will not want any segment to secede. And no government will want any segment to secede. No government will want it to happen, especially during his own time, because it may be dangerous. Especially in a situation whereby it is tacitly zoning system. Is it when a southwestern person is there that Nigeria disintegrates? Is it when a northern person is there or eastern person is there? So everybody will want to protect the territorial, every government will protect the territorial integrity and not wanting it to disintegrate during his own time. If you are there also, you will do the same thing.
Same, actually, I would.
So that's it. You see, we have said it times and times over. What is causing this thing is the fact that the wealth of the nation is lopsided, is positively skewed to some people and negatively skewed to some people. It should be evenly distributed. Though nobody is saying that money should be distributed to everybody, even if 10 billion naira is given to every person in Nigeria, those who will be poor will still be poor.
Definitely. Poverty is a mentality.
Yeah, poverty is mentality. So the thing is, but let there be social amenities put in place. One, good roads, electricity supply. For instance, now look at it. I'm a researcher, but even where I live, at times I will carry my tab here. I will be looking for
network. It happens to everyone.
Whereas in places like Canada, places like US, places like England, anywhere you go,
you can find
just like a network provider. Anywhere you go, the Wi-Fi is there. You don't even need to buy it. So that's it. All those things should be made to be available. If all those things are available, and then if there is enough food to eat, people go to school without stress, people drink without stress, water, not alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
People eat, then
We don't have much issues. Thanks so much, sir, for the whole insight you've given us so far, and thanks for helping us analyze this issue. We hope that actually this whole thing becomes a story of the past, and then we move on from where we are currently. And it's just something I just do say that some matters are very sensitive, but then I think the issue in the South is the people themselves too needs to just calm down. The government themselves needs to also play their role at this particular time in ensuring that the nation sticks together. Thanks so much, sir, for discussing once again with us.
Would bring us to an end for Daybreak for the morning. But of course, we'll be here same time, same station tomorrow morning. You have a wonderful day ahead. I remain Ezekiel Ogar.
And my name is Ikhonede Joshua Odeji. Do have a nice day. Bye.